Week 1 is in the books and Week 2 is coming up here in Oklahoma. High school football back in the Sooner State and fully in swing. I want to take you down to the Norman area to start things off this week, where Norman North debuted their new stadium against the Tigers. Norman, for the second year in a row, defeats Norman North, however. They moved to 15-13 all-time in this rivalry after Norman North took 3 games in a row from 2021 to 2023. The longest win streak in Oklahoma is over. Washington finally fell after 46 straight victories. Since the 2021 state championship game, they went undefeated, but last week went into Sulphur and finally lost that first game. Weatherford and Kingfisher had a wild almost finish in the fourth quarter, where Brody Beckman punched this ball out to force overtime. This one would finish 28-27, just a 1-point game. And coming up this week, I want to set the stage for the city championship in Moore. For the first time in a while, it's the Sabercats and Lions facing off for this one. Last week, Moore was on a bye, but Southmore went and won the Southwest Showdown against Westmore. Both of these defenses put a hurting on the Jaguars, and we could see a low-scoring slugfest. Moore put up a lot of points in their Week 0 game, but a lot of those came on splashy, long plays down the field. The big question is, can they consistently move the Southmore defensive front out of their way and establish chunk yardage early on in this one? There's 2 new coaching staffs between these 2 new teams, and someone's going to take their first loss as the head coach of their respective school. The other one going to take home a city championship for the first time. Sulphur at Davis this week. 2 heavyweights, Sulphur just taking down Washington in Week 1. This series already seen 76 matchups all time. Sulphur leads at all-time 44-32, but Davis this year did not allow a point in their season opener. That streak not likely to continue, but already a strong defensive showing from one of the biggest schools in Oklahoma. Deer Creek and Norman North. One of these 2 schools has to get their first win of the season, and both of them are better than their record looks right now. These are 2 playoff teams from last year, and I think it'll be a good showing from Mason James, one of the biggest prospects in Oklahoma and committed to the Washington Huskies. What can we expect from him in his final year in high school? It's really all up to what's around him right now. A lot of new faces and a lot of changes on Norman North, especially in their coaching staff, where many assistants moved on to new jobs this year. Taking a quick look at a few more games around the state. Mustang and Broken Arrow, 2 teams that are poised for a big jump this year with a revamp of both rosters. Owasso and Sand Springs, the Rams trying to get back on course after starting off 0-2, another team much better than their record shows. Newcastle and Blanchard, a streak ended somewhere else, Blanchard trying to establish a new one here. Going to be a tough schedule for them as they play upper class once again this week against Newcastle, who just fell to Tuttle last week. Lawton and MacArthur. MacArthur won the last 2 of these matchups. 34 wins all time for Lawton, however, as they try to get back on schedule in this rivalry. Purcell hosting Washington. That's an angry group who just lost that big winning streak and trying to get right back on track as they try to get another state championship. Tuttle moving into Noble. They're on a march this year. They call it Titletown, but they're missing former star wideout C.J. Simon this year. Cruz Campbell has a reloaded cast of weapons around him, and so far proving he can make do without his favorite target. Midwest City and Putnam City West, 2 teams needing a bounce back before district play starts. Broken Bow into Idabel. Last year, Broken Bow won this game by 3 touchdowns, but the only thing to stop Idabel afterwards, that juggernaut Sulphur team in the quarterfinals. They averaged nearly 35 points a game last year, but a lot of new faces on this Idabel team. They're trying to reload as well. Jones and Bethany. Jones playing above their class, but sure to give Bethany a good game this week. They're a contender for a deep 2A playoff run and one of the only schools in 2A1 that might have a shot at dethroning Washington this year. There was some big recruiting news around the Sooner State within the last month or so. 2 big-name recruits I want to take a look at this week on Friday Night Rivals. Easton Webb from Sand Springs, he just committed to Texas State. He's a dual-sport athlete that plays quarterback and on the baseball field. He can play a multitude of positions from pitcher, infield, and the outfield, and swings a good bat as well. And a new member of the Sooners, Xavier Okea-Faleze, a 6'5" wide receiver who hasn't had a game yet this year with less than 2 touchdowns. He'll be joining a skill corps at OU that's been needing some size like that on the outside. It's been a super exciting start to the season in Class 6A and all the way down to Class B in Oklahoma. I'm going to keep you covered every single week on Friday Night Rivals right here on Fox 25.